Lesson 2.6, subtracting decimals. Similar to the last lesson, in this set of practice problems, we will encounter some money examples where we need to, as we set it up, make sure that we are properly converting the money examples into the correct decimal format before we go forward with solving it. When we set up decimal subtraction problems, the same basic concept applies that we've already been practicing for adding decimals, and that's lining everything up by its place value. As long as you do that correctly, the actual task of subtracting should be very familiar because that task is just like when we subtract whole numbers. Let's get started. Number one, 50 and 4/10 minus 3 and 69/100. I can see right away that I've just got one digit after the decimal point here and two digits after the decimal point here, so I know I'm going to be adding a placeholder 0 here. And that work has actually been done for us here. The smaller number has been stacked below the larger number. All of the place values have been lined up accurately together. And the 0 minus 9, the 0 had to borrow from the 4. The 4 became a 3. The 0 became a 10. 10 minus 9 is 1. 3 minus 6, 3 had to borrow from the next digit over, the 0. The 0 had to in turn borrow from the 5. 5 became a 4. The 0 became a 10 temporarily. Now 10 had something for the 3 to borrow. So the 10 became a 9, 3 became a 13, and now we can continue on. 13 minus 6 is 7. Past the decimal point now, 9 minus 3 is 6, and the 4 just comes down to get 46 and 71/100. So this was an interesting case because at this point we had to remember how to subtract across a 0. Number two, $36 minus 63 cents. Again, this has been set up for us, and I see right away another subtracting across zeros example. So 36, we can add a decimal point there and 2 zeros there so that it has a similar, so that we can line up the 63 cents below it. And then when we begin to subtract 0 minus 3, 0 wants to borrow, but the next digit over is also 0, so that needs to borrow. And the 6 becomes a 5. This digit then goes up to 10. Now it has something that this first 0 can borrow, so the 10 goes down to 9, and this 0 goes up and becomes 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. 9 minus 6 is 3. The 5 minus 0, 5 comes down, and the 3 comes down to get an answer of $35.37. Moving on. Number 3, 75 minus 16 and 45/100. I'm going to line up my place values. Now that I've set it up, I'll invite you to pause the video so that you can solve to the best of your ability and compare your work and answer with me. From here on out, once I've done the setup, I'm not going to keep saying the same thing like a parrot. I will just pause for a moment in my work, and you'll know that's your cue to actually pause the video and then unpause. 0 minus 5, I've got to borrow. 0, this 0 has to borrow. Therefore, the 5 becomes a 4. This 0 becomes a 10. Now, this digit, this 10 has something that the first 0 can borrow. So this goes down to 9. This becomes a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 4 is 5. 4 minus 6, 4 has to borrow. 14 minus 6 is 8. 6 minus 1 is 5. 58 and 55/100. $3,944 and 1/10 minus 26 and 82/100. I'm going to add my 0 here. 0 minus 2, the 0 needs to borrow. 10 minus 2 is 8. 0 minus 8, the 0 needs to borrow. 10 minus 8 again, or not again. 3 minus 6, the 3 needs to borrow. 13 minus 6 is 7. 3 minus 2 is 1. The 9 comes down, the 3 comes down. 3,917 and 28 hundredths. Number 5 is the money example. $34.15 minus 87 cents. Remember to be thoughtful about how you're lining up your decimals. I knew right away that even though that 8 looked like it was in the tens place, like this 3, the fact that we're talking 87 cents, not $87, means that I can think about a decimal point right there. 5 minus 7 here, 5 needs to borrow. 15 minus 7 is 8. 0 minus 8, 0 must borrow. 10 minus 8 is 2. 3 minus 0 is 3, and the 3 in the tens place comes down. $33.28. Number 6, 30,076 and 5/10 minus 9 and 77 hundredths. 0 placeholder. 0 minus a 7. That becomes a 4. 4 minus 7. 14 minus 7 is 7. 5 minus 9. 5 needs to borrow. That becomes a 15. 15 minus 9 is 6. 6 comes down. 0 comes down. 0 comes down. 3 comes down. 30,066 and 73 cents. $30 and 2 hundredths minus 12 and 34 hundredths. Okay. Setup there is pretty simple. Same number of digits. 2 minus 4, 2 needs to borrow. We've got to subtract across zeros here. This 3 in the tens place becomes a 2. This 10 becomes a 9. This 10 becomes a 9. Finally, the 2 that needed to borrow originally becomes a 12. 12 minus 4 is 8. 9 minus 3 is 6. 9 minus 2 is 7. 2 minus 1 is 1. 17 and 68 hundredths. $60,538 minus 75 hundredths. I'm going to challenge you to try to solve this as mental math. Think about this for a moment. If this was 60,538 minus 1, well, I bet you'd be able to tell me the answer quick. If I was taking 1 away, it'd be 60,537. All right. Well, I'm not taking 1 away. So this is not the answer. But can you guess what's going to go in here? If you guessed 25 hundredths, I think you were right. Now let's prove it. We've got to subtract across zeros here. This becomes a 7. This becomes a 10 for a moment. Then a 9. This becomes a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 7 is 2. 7 comes down. Everything else just comes down. 60,537 and 25 hundredths. Two more to go. Home stretch. $80 minus $27.95. Oh, okay. I was going to try to show off and do this as mental math. Yeah, why not? Let's have a little fun. All right, look, let's bump this up to $28. What's 80 minus 28? Or start with 28 and count up to 80. 28 plus 2 is 30. 30 plus 50 is 80. So 28 plus 52 is 80. Okay. So I'm actually not subtracting $28. I'm subtracting 5 cents less than $28. If I was subtracting $28, I would have 52 left over. But I'm subtracting 5 cents less, which means I end up with 5 cents more, which means I think the answer should be $28.05. Not $28.05. $52.05. Let's prove it. 80 minus $27.95. Subtract across zeros. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 9 is 0. 9 minus 7 is 2. 7 minus 2 is 5. It checks out $52.05. Finally, number 10, 43 and 5 tenths minus 68 hundredths. Let's line them up. Zero minus 8, can't do it. Let's borrow. 5 becomes a 4. 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. 4 minus 6, can't do it. Got to borrow. 3 becomes a 2. 4 becomes 14. 14 minus 6 is 8. 2 minus 0 is 2. 4 comes down. We get an answer of 42 and 82 hundredths.